Sheila, the storyteller, here again. Today's story is another traditional Scottish traveller story, one told by the wonderful Duncan Williamson. It's called The Cat Fishers, and it's a story with a message. Wonder if you can work out what the message is. It's also got a bit in it near the end that you can join in with. So if you feel like singing like a cat, sing along. Not far from here, just up the road in fact, there's a small loch that's full of wonderful brown trout. And beside that loch, there's an old hut and an old shed where the fishermen keep their equipment and their boats. And in that old shed live two cats. One of the cats is an old cat with fur as black as night. The other cat is not really more than a kitten, and her fur is as white as the snow. And every night before they go to sleep in the back of that hut, curled up on some straw left by the fishermen, the old cat shares stories with the young cat. The kind of stories that maybe your mum and dad share with you. And the kind of stories that if you asked your granny, she might have different versions of. Because you see, these were stories about all the exciting things that the old cat used to do when he was young. And all the things he was really good at, and how he was brilliant at this and brilliant at that. Well, one night, the young cat says, "You know what? I'm thinking I've had enough of your stories for now. Maybe we can just go to sleep tonight and no bother with stories." But the old cat says, "Oh, that's a shame, because I was planning to tell you about what a great fisher I am, how good I am at catching fish. And then tomorrow I was going to take you down to the burn that runs out of the loch, and I was going to show you how to catch fish." "Really?" said the young cat. "You can catch fish?" "Oh, aye, I'm brilliant at catching fish," said the old cat. "And you'll teach me?" "Oh, yeah, definitely, if you want." "Oh, that would be great," said the young cat. "But maybe we should just go to sleep and no bother with a story tonight." So the two cats curled up and went to sleep. And when the sun come up in the morning, they got up and they stretched and they strolled along the banks of the loch until they came to the wee burn that ran out of the loch. And here the old cat demonstrated to the young cat how you would catch fish. You see, you tap your paw, he says, and you stick your claws out, and then you dangle your paw in the water, and you wait as quietly and as still as you can. And when a fish swims over the top of your paw, you go wheek, and the fish comes out of the water. It's as easy as that. "Oh, wow," said the young cat. "You do it like this, do you?" And she took her paw and she stuck out her claws and she says, and you put it in the water." "Aye," said the old cat, and you sit there as quietly and as still as you can." "Aye," said the old cat. "And when a fish swims over the top of your paw, you go wheek, and the fish will come out, and I can have it for my supper." "Exactly," said the old cat. "Now you stay here and you try and do it in this bit of the water. I'm going to wander further up the burn and I'll here go up there." Well, the wee cat wandered over to the edge of the water and looked in, while the old cat wandered further up the burn, thinking to himself, I ken a bit where there's mair fish. I ken a bit where I'm more likely to catch a fish. Well, the young cat, over at the side of the burn, put her paw in the water, and she stuck out her claws, and she sat there as quiet as she could, and as still as she could. And eventually, one of the brown trout swam over the top of her paw, and she went wheek, and out it came and landed on the bank beside her. Well, she was so proud of herself. She was so pleased. She sat down and she guarded that fish all afternoon, just thinking about how tasty it was going to taste when she ate it for her supper. Meanwhile, further up the burn, the old cat wasn't having so much luck. He kept putting his paw in the water and sticking out his claws, but every time he went wheek, well, he was a wee bit slow, and the fish had darted off behind a stone. And after trying again and again and again, he began to think to himself, maybe I'm just getting too old for this fishing, too old and slow. So at the end of the afternoon, he stood up and he shook his paws, and he began to stroll back down the burn to where the white cat was, to see how she'd gotten on. Well, when the young cat saw the old cat coming towards her, she stood up and she arched her back like cats do, and she gave a wee growl. And then she called out, how did you get on? How many fish did you catch? And the old cat says, I didn't catch any. I think I'm just getting hours slow and hour old for this fishing. Well, when she heard that, the young cat laughed. And the old cat said, what are you laughing at me for? One day you'll get old and slow too. And anyway, it doesn't matter. You've caught a fish, so we can hae that one for our supper. What do you mean, our supper? Said the young cat. I caught that fish. That's the first fish I've ever caught, so I'm having it for my supper. What? You wouldn't have been able to catch a fish if I hadn't shown you how to do it. No, we'll share that fish. We'll both hae it for our supper. No, said the young cat. No, it's my fish and I'm having it. I'm no sharing it with anybody. Well, the two cats began to argue. They hissed and they spat at each other and they growled at each other and they argued and they argued and they argued about who was going to eat the fish. Well, they made so much noise that it woke up the old fox that was in the woods. And even though by this time the sun had gone down and the moon was out, old Mr. Fox hadn't been planning to get up quite so early in the night. But he was awake now and he stuck his head out and he looked down towards the barn and he saw the two cats arguing. So he wandered down and he says, what's going on here? You're making that much noise, you woke me up. What's the problem? And the cats tell him that they were arguing about who was getting to eat the fish. Well, maybe I could help you, said the old fox. Maybe I could solve your problem for you. Who caught the fish? I did, said the young cat, sitting up proudly. I, said the old cat, she caught it, but she wouldn't have been able to catch it if I hadn't taught her how to catch it. Oh, I see you've got a problem here, said the old fox. But maybe I've got a solution. I came. We'll have a singing competition. Because I've heard that you two cats are brilliant singers, especially when the moon's up in the sky, that you just love singing to the moon. So we'll have a competition, and whoever sings the best to the moon will get the fish. Well, the two cats thought that was quite a good idea. And the old cat says, well, I'm bound to win. I ken all the old ballads and all the old folk songs. She only kens the nasty, noisy pop songs. So I'm bound to be the better singer. I'm bound to win. And with that, the two cats sat down, they put their heads back, and this is the bit where you could join in. They put their heads back, they closed their een, and they began to sing to the moon. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Well, they were so busy concentrating on their singing that they didn't notice that the old fox was creeping a bit closer. And they didn't notice when he put out his paw and flicked the fish towards them. And they didn't notice when he picked it up and shot off into the woods. They hear that fish for his supper and his family's supper. Well, the tall cats carried on singing for another half an hour. And then they stopped. And as they looked round and opened their eyes, well, they saw that the fish was gone. And so was the fox. And they realised they'd been tricked. And all they could do was wander slowly back to their shed, hungry. And that night, when they curled up in the straw, well, the old cat didn't feel like telling any stories. And that's the end of the story. Have you worked out yet what message that story's telling us? I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.